Good morning. Oh dear. Today's title is White Knights, Cavalry, and Personal Growth. Einstein said, "The world is a dangerous place, not because of those that do evil, but because of those that look on and do nothing." This is true for me and very frustrating. When I see the entrenched nature of the matrix controllers and the apathy of the people being controlled, it's nearly impossible, as a human, to rise above these observations and facilitate real change in society itself. Yes, spiritual growth is individual and personal. However, societal change requires heavy spiritual artillery that only a few can muster. The rest of us rely on white knights and help from the cavalry. Let me say that I actually got the Einstein quote from Critical Mass Radio in the UK, which was posted on my wall yesterday, and I see it's posted again today. I don't know if it's the same post as yesterday. Sometimes people duplicate posts. But in any case, that's where I got that Einstein quote, which I will be using next week in my metagroups, announcement that'll go out on Monday. A clarification: cavalry is a mobile, militarized force that is able to move quickly into position, as opposed to infantry, which moves on foot. It's not cavalry, which is, a lot of churches are named Calvary Temple, etc., etc. Refers to Golgotha, or the cross on which Christ or Jesus supposedly died, according to what Christianity teaches us. I wanted to make that distinction because I actually had to look it up and make sure that I had it correct, because I do confuse them sometimes. CAV is a military thing. CAL is Golgotha. Anyway, just a point of clarification. The videos over the last couple of days have brought comments from some of my friends, on Facebook especially, that this idea of looking for a savior is not where we're at. And I'm going to acknowledge that there are a nucleus of people, a small, relatively small group. It's probably a critical mass group. I think it is. It's probably enough to make for the tipping point. However, it's certainly nowhere close to a majority of people that are rising in their consciousness, in our consciousness, enough to be able to embrace the light and the dark together without separation, even though in this world you almost cannot live and speak without speaking words that indicate a separation of this and that being not one. But there are many of us, myself included, who have been working on embracing the paradox for a very long time. And embracing the paradox means merging the opposites, bringing them together in a dance rather than a duel. And it is a huge challenge for me, and I do believe for everyone. But those of us that are able to do that, even to a small, relatively small degree, even those of us that simply have the intention of integrating the opposites within our own being, within our own conscious awareness, we are exerting a tremendous influence for good in the world, without which there probably wouldn't be any white knights or any cavalry to come to the assistance of the masses. And coming to the assistance of the masses is exactly what I think is necessary. The masses need rescue because they will never awaken in the matrix under the control of the current leadership or the powers that have long been and are still exercising some control, but will ultimately fall. And the rate at which they fall is essential for the awakening as I see it. It's a not without which. Until the elite dominated matrix is toppled and ceases to be able to exercise any power on this planet, there can be no mass awakening. Mass awakening requires truth to be told, and to be told in such a way that it becomes obvious to those that it was not obvious to previously. The people that I talked about yesterday that just can't see. Well, they can't see because what the Matrix is showing everybody is all of the things that make it look like there's no change happening at all. And they say, I don't see anything happening. Of course not. Because of the where you're looking, the direction you're looking in, and the source of that information. Now, I do believe we can facilitate very rapid change in society by simply changing the leadership on the planet, or the communication facilities that put out the mass media. When the mass media takes hold and starts telling the truth, you're going to watch people awaken right and left. Yes, you're going to see people that are locked into their belief systems, especially religious people. I mean, I work with the Republic, as many of you know. I'm still glad to be the Secretary of State for the Florida Free State. And my greatest desire is to see the Republic flourish, not just in the United States, but in Canada and Mexico and all of the Latin American countries, and in Europe and in Asia and in Africa, around the world, in Australia and New Zealand, all around the world, to see republics take root and flourish, because republics represent freedom to the individual. However, in the United States, there are also people, and I talked to one yesterday, who are very much into the patriot and sovereignty movement, to let people have their rights honored. That's their desire. And yet they see any kind of government, any kind of bridge between where we've been and where we're going, as anathema, something that is not desired at all. They don't want any government to exercise any type of leadership, period. Everybody just does their own thing. Nobody owns any property. Nobody controls anybody. It's a leap that's beyond, in my opinion, beyond the scope of our evolutionary development into conscious awareness that we are interconnected. It's impossible. We need the bridges. That's why I keep emphasizing, and why I've kept emphasizing last year and into this year, and still emphasizing, we need government, we need money as a bridge into the future, where ultimately it's true. We will be so awakened, the masses included, will be so awakened that we will not need to have people hold positions to make sure other people don't abuse things, to make sure banks don't take over and buy governments and stuff like that. We're going to, when everybody's rich, which I believe will be, and rich in the terms that we think of riches on this planet, trained by the Matrix, as in monetary riches. When we all become rich, a handful of people will no longer be able to buy the mass media, to buy the corporations, to buy the governments, to buy the educational systems, to buy the pharmaceutical and other industries, and control food and all sorts of things. They will no longer be able to do that because everyone will have riches. That's a bridge. Government republics are a bridge in a world that is not yet awakened. So that the good people that stand by and do nothing, which is the natural tendency of humans, to not get involved, to be apathetic, to be lazy, to be non-committed. That's the natural state of human consciousness in the matrix that we've known for eons of time. That has to change. There are people who are awakening, like my friend in Greece, Aristos, who always talks about merging, the same things that I talk about, getting even beyond the paradox. There are many of us. Many of us. I couldn't even begin to name all of my friends. There are scores at least of them that see what I'm seeing, and there must be many more that are seeing it and not communicating it back to me so that I understand that they're seeing it. But we're understanding that we hold the masses in our hearts. We hold them. I sit in the meditation room many days, holding the globe. Or if I'm not holding the globe, I'm visualizing the trouble spots in the world, and my heart breaks and goes out to all the people that are losing their homes and losing their properties and losing their freedom to tyrants and to a military that has been poorly trained, to police forces that have been poorly trained, people that think that they have the right to abuse others, and they take the worst tendencies in the human culture and they magnify them and give them positions of authority over others, and people are hurt and wounded. Folks, we're not going to stop this by a slow, gradual process of people awakening because of all the pain. People don't awaken because of pain most of the time. People either die or give up. They become the living dead. And the justice system works seeing everybody as dead anyway, because the masses are dead. The masses are enslaved and don't even realize it. They're enslaved in the matrix. So I do not see, and I cannot see, changes happening that will affect society at large unless the white knights and the cavalry comes. Unless we are given ET support and angelic support. Unless the masses are rescued at least to the point where the truth can be told with a level of authoritativeness. This is the truth. And it's not about dogma or belief. It's not about religion. It's not about holding on to some dogmatic viewpoint of the world, a limited viewpoint based on separation consciousness. It's not that at all. Now, that's one of the things that permeates and weakens the Republic movement in the United States, because you listen to some of their calls, it almost sounds like you're in church. And that turns so many people off, and people in the Republic don't get it, because their thing is they want a Christian nation. They don't understand that a Christian nation will be opposed to a Muslim community, and opposed to a Hindu community, and a Buddhist community. They think that Christ is the only way, and Christ is the only way. But what is Christ? It's not Jesus of Nazareth 2,000 years ago. He was the Christ, yes, but so are we. That's the potential in each human being that we need to grow up and ascend to. And the ascension is in our consciousness. It's moving from our head down into our heart and then ascending to embrace everything with love. That's the Christ consciousness. That's what has to be the second coming, and it has to happen in a multitude of people. A multitude of people. Tens of thousands is not unreasonable for the tipping point. for the critical mass to be reached, to shift enough of the energy on the planet so that the truth can take a foothold in the consciousness of humanity. That doesn't happen with the current leadership in the world. That cannot happen with the current leadership in the world as far as the dark cabal and matrix. And it's not like it's separate, as I've said many, many times. They are us. That is our shadow, collectively. But to facilitate societal change, we need help. And I don't see it happening any other way. Now, you can disagree with me, and I don't claim to be right. I'm telling you, this is what I see. This is my perspective. This is my viewpoint. That's all I can share with you. And I care. I care about those that are hurting, because I hurt too. I hurt too. I'd like to stop this of having to put legal documents like I've been putting together this week. I'd like to stop having to do that and fighting for what is natural and what is mine and what is right. I'd like to stop. But I can't until the cavalry comes and helps remove the judges and the bankers and the attorneys and the politicians and the CEOs and the CFOs and the COOs and the leaders of our matrix culture. They have to be brought to justice. Without that, there can be no societal change. There can be no heaven on earth. There can be no new age. There can be no kingdom that is a just and righteous kingdom on this planet. We will continue in our self-destructive ways, our competitive and non-cooperative ways. We will continue there until the leadership is transformed and toppled. And that requires white knights and cavalry and extraterrestrial intervention on many levels. That's how I see it. You can have your own opinion, but I do thank you for listening, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Namaste.